Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you've had a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. And a quick note before we get started. As promised, a brand new episode for my podcast dropped today. The guest is my wife. It's easily one of my favorite episodes we've put out. I actually just uploaded it right before this video. And so after today's show, if you want to watch it, go to youtube.com/ACW, or if you want to listen on the audio platform of your choice, go to linkshole.com. But with that said, welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. Buckle up, hit that like button, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today involves a video that has just been sent to me over and over and over. And possibly you've seen it already. It involves a female police officer that seems to be breaking down over a McDonald's order. And I think kind of the best way for us to understand this and talk about it is to walk through it. And so she starts off by identifying the specific McDonald's. She kind of sets up the scene.
I waited in line to get my food. I had already done my mobile order, so that, people don't pay for my stuff, because I just always like to pay for it myself.
She says she's on her way home from work. She pulls up to the first window and
they hand me my receipt, so I go to the second window to get my food. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And so the girl comes to the window and asks me what my order was. I repeat my order and my coffee order, and they asked me to pull up because my food's not ready. It's an English muffin meal with a hash brown and coffee. And I hadn't eaten since I've been up for a very long time, but I haven't eaten in a while, so I was kind of hungry. And I'm still waiting, and I'm still waiting, and they asked me to pull up. So I pull up forward, and a girl comes out with my coffee, and just the coffee. And she hands it to me, and I have my window down. And that's all she hands me is the coffee. So I told her, I said, don't bother with the food, because right now I'm too nervous to take it. It doesn't matter how many hours I've been up. It doesn't matter what I've done for anyone. Right now I'm too nervous to take a meal from McDonald's because I can't see it being made. I don't know what's going on with people nowadays, but please, just give us a break. Please just give us a break. I don't know how much more I can take. I've been in this for 15 years, and I've never, ever had such anxiety about waiting for McDonald's drive-thru food. So just have a heart, and if you see an officer, just tell them thank you. Because I don't hear thank you enough anymore.
So obviously there's a lot to kind of try to digest, to break down there. She orders online, thinks the food's going to be fast. She shows up. She seems to be a police officer. The food's starting to take a long time. She starts to think maybe it's taking a long time because they realized, oh, that's a cop. We should mess with the food. There, I don't know if that's connected to more general fear or more specifically the false accusations we saw yesterday coming from multiple police unions. Or the Shake Shack stuff that NYPD detectives said, oh, actually there is no criminality. Still, we saw a number of figures pushing a false story. But then, in this video, she goes on to talk more generally of just be nice to cops, right? Essentially saying, please show us we're appreciated, don't be horrible to us. Now, following this video blowing up, we've seen a number of reactions, right? Some defending the police officer, saying this is an example of why we need to be better to police officers. The likes of Donald Trump Jr. saying disgusting what's going on right now, right? Others saying, come on, America, we need to do better. But on the other side, and I will say I saw more of this online, you had a number of people mocking this police officer, calling her Officer Karen, with reactions from people like, I am speechless. Black people are worried about getting killed in their sleep, and cops are having nervous breakdowns about hash browns. Police officers need to be able to handle high pressure, life or death situations, and Stacey has gone viral because her McMuffin was late. Right? And looking into this, even though on Twitter with this going viral, she was only identified as Stacey, a number of outlets have identified her as Stacey Talbert. Reportedly, she works for the McIntosh County Sheriff's Office. Also, other photos of Talbert that have surfaced appear to back this up. As far as my reaction to this story, if you came here expecting me to kind of just dunk on this cop, that's not what this is. But what I will say is I hope that this officer is placed on leave, on some sort of vacation, that they are not actively policing. Because in no way does this seem like a safe mindset to have if you're out there with a weapon dealing with the public. Right? If you have someone that thinks that they're being attacked because their food is late, what happens when there is that high pressure situation? Right? Every pocket might all of a sudden look like it has a weapon. Every person might be seen as a threat. Right? And whether you think that her reaction in this situation was valid or not, I mean, she genuinely appears to be breaking down, having some sort of panic attack. Also, I do want to note here, I tracked down the original video that was posted to Facebook, not just the Twitter version. And that version includes an extra 25 seconds on what most people have seen and regarding if she's on duty right now. It appears like she's getting some kind of break, whether that's a vacation or her regular time off in her schedule.
All I want is just my next couple days off to just be so chill. No uniform, no nothing. Just for a couple days. It'll get better, I know it will. This will all blow over. But hopefully it blows over sooner than later because I just want some McDonald's. I love you all.
Also, as far as the situation itself, things have probably changed to a certain degree, but I actually used to work at McDonald's. Having someone move up away from the window and wait for their food, that's a standard thing. And it usually happened when someone forgot to drop hash browns or fries, so there wasn't anything there or fresh, or there was a mess up and someone had to fix it, and usually someone would go out and make sure you have your drink before you get your food. But once again, that's just my personal experience. And you know what? With this whole story, I just want to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? Do you have sympathy for this officer or none at all? Maybe land somewhere in between? Really, any and all thoughts you have on this, I'd love to see in those comments down below. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome brought to you by Keeps. By now, you might know 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time that they're 35. Right? Everyone's got that brother, uncle, or friend, and if you don't want to go down that road, you don't have to just sit idly by. Keeps helps you stop hair loss before it's too late. They offer generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products that are out there, so in fact, some of you may have already tried them before, but probably never at this price. And what's really nice is you used to have to go to a doctor's office for your prescription, but with Keeps, you can just get your treatment delivered straight to your home. And that's especially important now, since the last thing you want to do is take an unnecessary trip to a doctor's office. But best of all, for a limited time, you beautiful bastards can get 50% off your order. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/DeFranco, or just click that link in the description down below to receive 50% off your first order. And the first bit of awesome today is we saw Pokemon making a number of announcements, including the new Pokemon Snap. Then we had Alicia Keys answering the web's most searched questions. We had Ted Ed asking and answering, can steroids save your life? We had hairdresser Brad Mondo reacting to quarantine hair dye disasters. And the final bit of awesome, if it is your thing or you just enjoy witnessing the chaos that it sometimes brings. Mark it off of your things I didn't expect in 2020 bingo card. Belle Delphine is back, and launching that comeback with a parody of a 6ix9ine song and an OnlyFans account. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, really anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about this news around Aunt Jemima. For those unfamiliar, Aunt Jemima is a PepsiCo Quaker Oats brand. You got pancake mixes, pancake syrup, grits, cornmeal, and has been the case really more and more over these last 3 years. The Onion, a satirical news website, 50% called what was going to happen. Last Friday, they put out the satirical news headline, Quaker Oats replaces historically racist Aunt Jemima mascot with black female lawyer who enjoys pancakes sometimes. And the news we saw today was not the promotion of the Sheila brand, but we did actually see the news today that the Aunt Jemima brand will change its name as well as remove the image that Quaker says is based on a racist stereotype, with the vice president and chief marketing officer of Quaker Foods North America saying in a statement, we recognize Aunt Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype. While work has been done over the years to update the brand in a manner intended to be appropriate and respectful, we realize those changes are not enough. And going on to say, we are starting by removing the image and changing the name, adding we will continue the conversation by gathering diverse perspectives from both our organization and the black community to further evolve the brand and make it one everyone can be proud to have in their pantry. And also, according to the company's website, $5 million will be donated over the next 5 years to create meaningful ongoing support and engagement in the black community. And as far as why this change is happening now, I looked into this, and there's been pushback for years against the brand and the imagery. Looking at the situation now, I would personally credit it to 2 things. One, in the wake of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all the protests that we've seen, I think more conversations are happening, more people are listening, are people more open about other people's experiences, their points of views, their frustrations. And 2, this TikTok from a singer by the name of Kirby just blew up.
Baby, you hungry? Let me fix you some breakfast. Aunt Jemima? Did you know the name Aunt Jemima means slave mammy of the plantation south? Did you know the founder, Chris Rutt, a white man, got the name after attending a minstrel show? Think blackface. Did you also know he hired former slave Nancy Green to be his very own Aunt Jemima, where she went around cooking pancakes and telling people stories of the good old South? And afterwards, they could take home a box of Aunt Jemima and that feeling of having their very own mammy. Not today. Black Lives Matter, people. Even over breakfast.
And that video across platforms got millions and millions of views, also spawning other versions, other conversations. Now, with all of that said, if you're out there and you're wondering, okay, well, that's one brand, what about the others? Right, many notably pointing to Uncle Ben's products. Well, it turns out Mars, which is the company that owns Uncle Ben's, released a statement today saying now is the right time to evolve the Uncle Ben's brand, including visual brand identity, which we will do. Though adding, we don't know yet what the exact changes in timing will be, but we are evaluating all possibilities. All right, so given the way that statement has been put out there, this obviously feels very reactionary. I don't think it's crazy to assume that the company was just expecting to get hit soon from the top rope. Yeah, with all of this happening today, I would love to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it makes sense? It's old, it's outdated, it's offensive to a number of people. Or no, are you against it? Why not? Any and all thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is an international story. Remember when we used to do those? This one involves what's happening with India and China, because right now these two nuclear powers are in the middle of sorting out their most serious military confrontation in decades. Right, so all of this started when fighting broke out between Chinese and Indian troops along the disputed border between the two countries high up in the Himalayas. Now, I will say it is unclear exactly what actually happened because both sides have given different accounts, and most of the details that we do have are from the Indian side. Right? Meanwhile, Chinese officials have largely remained tight-lipped, and Chinese media has downplayed the incident. But according to the reports we do have, the two sides engaged in hand-to-hand combat using rocks, iron rods, and their fists for several hours, with several people reportedly falling to their death, but also very notably neither side firing shots or using guns at any point. Indian officials have said that 20 of their soldiers have been killed, 3 during the face-off and 17 others succumbing to injuries in the sub-zero temperatures, with Indian officials also saying there were casualties on the Chinese side as well. And while Chinese officials did confirm that was true, they did not say how many people died. And as far as what started this standoff, unsurprisingly, both sides have been blaming each other for instigating. Indian officials saying that the Chinese forces crossed into the area under their control and set up tents and guard posts, saying Chinese troops ignored verbal warnings to leave, which set off shouting matches, stones being thrown, fist fights. But you have Chinese officials saying that Indian soldiers crossed the border into their area that they control and provoked and attacked Chinese personnel. Right, and so the thing is, while this does mark a serious escalation, these confrontations are not new at all. In fact, just since last month, there have been a number of similar conflicts along the border, though there have been no reported deaths there. This after both countries reportedly moved thousands of additional soldiers to the border, but it seemed like things had calmed down because after those brawls, senior military leaders from both sides, they met, they agreed to disengage. But also, you have people saying it was kind of just bound to happen again, and that's because this situation goes a lot deeper. Right? In fact, India and China have been fighting over this disputed border for decades and decades. In 1962, the two fought a full-scale war over the border, which ended with a truce and the creation of a sort of de facto border called the LAC, a line of actual control. It's a roughly 2,000-mile boundary that runs along the Himalayas and the disputed Jammu and Kashmir region. But that LAC is a very rough line. In fact, over the years, there have been more than a dozen rounds of talks and negotiations, but an actual border has never been formally decided. So as a result, you have India and China both having competing views of where this boundary actually is, and both claiming significant chunks of the other's territory, with both sides patrolling up to where they believe that border is. But because it's contested, they're operating on different maps, it's led to frequent accusations of one crossing the LAC, which has resulted in numerous clashes. But Monday's incident is incredibly notable because it's been described as the most violent and serious confrontation since a series of battles in 1967, and it's also the first altercation that's resulted in reported fatalities since 1975. Now, notably, what we've seen through the years, you have these two sides working together to try and keep the peace. In the early 1990s, for example, they agreed to a set of protocols to contain the disputes and prevent escalation. Right, things such as where troops would patrol, what weapons they could carry, where military installations would be built, and how close weapons and airplanes could be to disputed areas. But we've seen tensions grow over the last few years, with much of it connected to both countries building infrastructure, including roads, airstrips, and arms installations. Right, much more of the area is becoming militarized. Now, in general, China has been the more assertive one in building up its infrastructure, but actually what we've seen in recent years is India has been strengthening its border infrastructure and upgrading its military installations, which is a move that many experts have said has angered China. But there is also a broader geopolitical element to this. China is also upset with India's growing political and military relationship with the United States. And in fact, last year we saw China strongly condemning India for revoking the autonomous status of Kashmir, which we talked about on the show. It's a disputed area between both India and Pakistan, and they placed it under direct control of the central government, as well as imposing strict and brutal lockdown measures on the Kashmiri people. But on the other side of the issue we're talking about today, you also have India worried that China is the one trying to slowly take over more of the disputed territory along the LAC. This, as the Wall Street Journal explains, especially because of China's very expansionist actions in the last few years. Writing, China has pressed other controversial territorial disputes in recent years, stoking anxiety among its neighbors by building military installations in the South China Sea, extending control over Hong Kong, and moving to deny Taiwan, which it sees as part of China, legitimacy and participation in international forums. But as far as what happens now, I mean, both India and China have said that they do want peace. In a short televised speech today, you had Indian Prime Minister Modi hitting on that point, but also striking a harsh tone, saying the sacrifice of our soldiers will not be in vain. The sovereignty and integrity of India is supreme and nobody can stop us in defending that. India wants peace, but if provoked, India is capable of giving a befitting reply. And as far as China, their foreign minister has also said that they do not want more clashes. And in fact, according to reports in a call today, both China's and India's foreign ministers agreed to cool down and said that they favor peaceful diplomacy and dialogue, with it also being reported that military leaders in that region are talking to diffuse the tension. But yeah, for now, that is essentially the story. It's something to keep an eye on when you're dealing with two nuclear powers having issues with one another. I'd really love if everyone could chill out. I know that one of these days when I wake up and World War III is trending, it's not going to be memes. The world just feels like a volatile place right now, and on that happy note, that's where I'm going to end today's show. And as always, thank you for being a part of this. I know I sent an email to a bunch of you yesterday just kind of saying thank you for being a part of this. Us having this together makes me feel less crazy when I look at the news. I hope that's also something you feel on your end. Also, for those that are new here, if you want to join the fam, just hit that subscribe button, definitely tap that bell so it looks like this. Also, if you're looking for more to watch, you can check out that brand new podcast I did with my wife, or maybe just missed yesterday's show, you want to catch up, you can click or tap right there. But with that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco, you've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you like it.